Good morning, it's today again. Welcome back to Joseph's Reserves. I'm Joseph, and I store 20% of my income in the form of rare coins and precious metals. Today, we're going to be talking about looking at your precious metal stack as a balanced portfolio. First off, I am not a financial advisor. I am just sharing my opinion on a way to consider moving your metals around. Just because these are some of the methods that I use doesn't mean you should use them too. But is it a great way to do it? I think so. Let's get into it. Before we get any further, I've got to take a second to shout out Emmanuel for having the first comment on my last video. Congratulations. Thank you so much for all the support you've given me. Find Emmanuel in the comments and start up a conversation. Alright, so today's video is about the different ways someone can manage their portfolio, or really just starting to look at your precious metals as a portfolio. When you start to think of it as a portfolio, you're asking yourself questions like, am I more bullish on silver than gold? Bullish just means I think it's going to go up. If I think silver is going to go up more so than gold, then I should probably have more value in silver than I do in gold. I should have a bigger bet on the silver price if I am more bullish on silver. There are two main ways to think about how your portfolio is split up. Those two ways is thinking about it in ounces or thinking about it by value. I believe that thinking about it in ounces is a lot easier for people to understand because, well, they buy silver and gold and platinum in ounces. But if we start to think about it in a ratio of value, then we can actually determine what size bet we're making on each metal. For example, I just calculated my entire stack in a video series for the past 2 weeks. I determined that I have about 45% gold, 55% silver, and just under 1% of platinum. And of course, I'm rounding a little bit, so that's why it ends up being over 100%. But my point is that even just the bull run to $65 silver last night left me with an exact ratio of 43.27% in gold, 55.94% in silver, and 0.79% in platinum. Silver and platinum both shot up last night, and it resulted in an over 1% drop in my gold holdings. So let's talk a little bit about what that means exactly. Let's say I decided to build a portfolio just around the weight basis. Right here, what I'm displaying is currently equal values in gold, platinum, and silver. In weight, I currently have 6.5 times the silver as gold and 2.25 times the platinum that I do in gold. If I just personally liked how this amount of material sitting next to each other looked and felt, and I just loved this exact split of weight, then chose to buy silver, gold, and platinum to maintain this weight, no matter what the prices did, then as prices move away from each other or differently than each other, then this percentage of my portfolio is going to be all over the place, making it so that my apparent opinion on the metals market is driven by market movement rather than my opinion driving how my stack forms the exact portfolio. In this case, if silver was to possibly double, but I wanted to maintain this exact weight ratio, then I would have to be buying more money into silver. I'd be making bigger bets on silver while it is high. In addition, there is no plan in place for me to sell off silver at a high point to move into other assets. In other ways of looking at this portfolio, if I looked at it in value, if silver were to double, I could then sell some of the silver to move into another asset to rebalance my portfolio. In this case, I might sell a little bit of silver, and add a little bit of platinum. Of course, those type of movements will depend on what type of portfolio I would like to maintain. What size bet would I like to hold on silver, gold, or platinum? In this way, I could set an opinion of how I believe the metals market is going to move in the next 5 to 10 years and execute a specific portfolio for those 5 to 10 years. I could then reevaluate and make different bets based on where I believe the market's going to go at that point. But let's get into exactly how to look at your stack as a portfolio of value. So me personally, I'm a little bit more bullish on silver than gold, and I would like to start experimenting a little bit more with platinum. So I'm thinking that my goal ratio is going to be somewhere between 50 to 55% in silver, 40 to 45% in gold, and 3 to 5% in platinum. So if you run the numbers, you'll see that if each metal is at the bottom of the range, it actually only totals to 93%. But if each metal is at the top of the range, it adds up to 105%. I've designed it this way so that when I'm obviously at 100% of my portfolio, the numbers will always be somewhat skewed in one direction. This will easily be able to tell me, based on my bets, which metal is performing better or not as well as I would like them to based on my bets. So basically what will happen is once I set in this ratio, as soon as a bull run shoots one of my metals higher than this ratio, I will sell off a small portion of that metal into other metals that might be a little bit lower. So if I'm really aiming for no more than 55% silver and no less than 3% platinum, I'm in dire need to sell off some silver into platinum, especially after last night's bull run got me to almost 56% in silver. So overall, what is the plan exactly? Well, I dollar cost average into silver. Every week, I spend a 20% of my income on silver. After a while, that silver has been going up, and I will then sell off some of this silver into gold or platinum. Basically, I'm going to be putting the dollar into silver, and when silver becomes too much of my portfolio, I'm going to use that silver to buy gold or platinum to rebalance my portfolio. But remember, I've committed to buying $1 in face value of junk silver every week and at least a quarter ounce of gold every quarter. Really, it's every 5th week of the month, which happens about 4 times a year. That alone, at the current market values, would put my portfolio inching towards 55% silver and 45% gold. With both of those on the high end of their range, platinum is going to be the key player that keeps them both in line. But what do you think about my idea of treating metals as a portfolio to balance? Using one metal to buy another to make sure that your bet does not get too high or too low. Let me know if this is the type of philosophy you would follow, and if so, what kind of bet on gold, silver, and platinum are you making? Let me know in the comments what ratio you personally hold, and if that already aligns with the type of bet you think you would like to make on how bullish you are on silver, gold, and platinum individually. And while you're in the comments, look for another comment that you might like. Find somebody you don't know and start a conversation. Go ahead and like every single one of the comments. Also, like the video and share it to anyone that you think might be interested in this type of topic. But most of all, thank you so much for watching. And just remember, every ounce adds up. So no matter how small, just keep stacking.